Visualize and Create show. This is the show that you are tuning into. Whether you're watching or listening while washing the dishes, walking the dog, wherever you are in the world, listen, I'm excited to have you. Okay, let's get started. We have a lot to talk about today. Let's go. You are listening on your favorite podcast provider, or perhaps watching this show on your big TV screen. Regardless, I'm excited to have you. My name is Martine Cadet, and I am the host of the Visualize and Create show. You will be able to meet amazing individuals that are going to inspire you, motivate you, and give you the tools for you to visualize and create whatever it is that you want. Make sure you check out the show notes and share this with a friend. Welcome to another episode of the Visualize and Create show. My name is Martine Cadet. I know you heard it from the intro. I'm going to say it again. This show is for you if you're looking for a place to get inspired, motivated, get the tools, meet amazing people, connect with them so that you can continue to create what it is that you are visualizing because you got it in you. Yes, you do. Listen, my guest and I did not wake up like this yesterday, and I cannot wait for you to hear his story and also walk you through his expertise. So stay tuned till the end. All right, do me that favor. And also remember, if you're excited about this episode, first of all, listen to the whole thing, but then share it with a friend, share it with a family member, leave a review, connect with my guest. And so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic along to my guest so that he can introduce himself, and we'll start the conversation about visualizing and creating what it is that you want. We'll close with my guest sharing with you what he's sharing in the show notes and how you can connect with him. And that's going to be the show today. Okay? You're with me? Excellent. Let's do this. And so, Alvin, sending the mic over to you. Tell us a little bit about you, what you do, where you are, what's good.
Thank you, Martine. Thank you so much for having me on. Yes, like you said, my name is Alvin. I am the retail business coach that helps retailers improve their cash flow and profitability so that they can create more time and freedom for themselves. Right now, you and I are talking, I'm in southern Germany, but you can probably guess from my accent that maybe I used to live in Australia for about 30 years. I was born in Fiji and moved to Australia. And then midway through the pandemic, we decided to move from Australia, Melbourne, Australia, to Germany. A little bit of background: when I was in Australia, I used to buy, grow, and sell pharmacy-based businesses. And I've always been working with coaches and mentors to help me through this. And when I decided to leave Melbourne, Australia, I sold my last business. And now I'm helping other people do the same, other retailers specifically do the same, not necessarily pharmacy owners. And I'm super passionate about helping other people with their businesses.
I love that. So exciting. Listen, I come from the retail background myself. I used to be a product manager traveling. I've never made it to Australia though. I have to. My husband has been. I've done India, I've done Hong Kong, I've done Thailand and all. I've never made it to Fiji, but all in my bucket list. But all that to say, one thing that I always like to share with the audience, and I'm sure you're going to relate with this, Alvin, is that all of our experiences, right, are important. And so many of us were like, oh, it's a failure. It's a failure. I'm like, no, it's not a failure. It's an experience. Because let me tell you what you're going through right now today. You're watching, listening, yesterday, what you did. It's important for 2 years from now, for next month, right? And so here's my question for you, Alvin. You mentioned you initially were doing what you are now helping others do, but let's go back a little bit further in the past. How did you even get into this whole industry of what you're
Yeah,
doing?
totally. And what you said about experiences, and I think it was Tony Robbins that said, and I learned from him, is life happens for you, not to you, right? So there I was. I just graduated from pharmacy school, and I went backpacking overseas, and I was in Southeast Asia. Anyway, I got hit by a truck, and I almost lost my left elbow, and I got flown to Bangkok that night. Operated on, the next day. Had to spend 2 weeks in hospital. Flew back to Australia. Had to have 6 months of not doing anything. Another round of surgery. Needless to say, the reason I'm telling you this is when I got hit by that truck, I was in rural Laos in Southeast Asia. And from going from there to the capital city, I was having this moment like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? You know, I've just graduated. You know, I was too busy in a partying mode, didn't really care about what I wanted to do with myself, what I wanted to do with my life. And I was having this moment like, oh my God, I've just nearly lost my life. What am I going to do from here? And, you know, it really hit me head on, literally, that my life is too short, and, you know, I really need to go after what I want. And I had this realization that, yeah, now is the time to do things. So after I fully recovered, I really went 100 miles an hour on trying to get into business, because I knew that's what I wanted to do and wanted to get into a business. And because I was a pharmacist, it made sense to get a pharmacy-based business. But that was the impetus, that life-changing moment right there, being hit by a truck, that realization that life is really short, that I should stop, you know, screwing around with my life and really start to do something. And that's exactly what propelled me into starting my journey into business ownership.
Wow, my goodness, what a story. Thank you for sharing such a powerful story. I mean, so many of us, listen, you're listening to this and watching this and you're thinking, yeah, you know, I want to do this and but I don't have the tools. I don't have the money. I don't have the resources, and we're here to tell you that taking action, whether it's a teeny beat or a big leap or going 100 miles per hour like Alvin did, it's taking action, right? And so, Alvin, I'd love to hear from you two things, okay?
Mhm.
First is, obviously, let's speak to the person listening right now and watching saying, I want to take action, but I feel lack. I don't have the motivation. And then they're like, yeah, life is short. I get it, but push me here. Okay. So we need to address that with them.
Easy.
And then the
Yep.
second thing I want to for you to dive into a little bit more is this whole buying and selling the what you're doing, and how, what does that look like, and who is qualified for that, because I'm not sure, there's probably somebody listening that's like, he talked about pharmaceutical, that's my niche, and I want help,
Mm.
right? So let's talk about how to push our audience today, for you listening, watching, to take action. Life is too short. Don't wait for something dramatic, right, to happen to take action. So, what would you say to this person to do after this episode? What should they do?
Absolutely. And you exactly right. You don't need to wait for a life-threatening event or a life event like I had. It was just an impetus for me. But what you're talking about is exactly the first step that I take with my clients, you know, who I'm coaching in in their retail business. But the first thing we need to do in order to take action is to really begin the process of mapping out what you want your life to look like, right? So that means having a personal vision for yourself. And I think a lot of people get analysis paralysis from trying to figure out their vision for themselves in the future, because we may spend a lot of time trying to get it perfect. So I think step one is to just put together an SFD, like a shitty first draft, on what we want our life to look like. And it can be as, outlandish, as crazy as we want it to, but as long very few of us actually take the step to list down what we actually want out of life. So I think that would be the step one of anything. Just start to sit down. And obviously, if you're working with a coach, they will always usually have a process for this. But just starting to understand, like, what's really important to you. What would you love to, spend your time doing? What do you want to see? What are your values are? Most people sort of don't even understand what a value is and how that relates to their life. So just asking yourself these tough but very simple questions, I think, is the first step in moving forward. Because once you have a plan for yourself, it makes it very, very easy to move forward. And I mentioned that, many of us think we need to get it right the first time. But the great thing about our personal vision, it's allowed to ebb and flow and change as we move along. Nobody's telling us that you said that and you have to go for that. So start the process, start taking those baby steps and walking, because that whole journey of understanding yourself and creating your personal vision is so much fun, and it'll change over time. But the main thing is to start going down that road. Did that make
I love
sense?
that. And and you're so right. You have to be willing to pivot and update and change without having to apologize, right?
Yes.
And so, but here's the thing for you listening and watching, Alvin is saying, and he said it several times, right? He's worked with coaches, he's a coach. At the end of the day, you have to do this with someone. You can't do this by yourself, right? And we have to pause for a second, Alvin, and congratulate our audience listening and watching right now, because if they've made it this far, that means they're invested in what you're
Absolutely.
saying. And I love that. And so congratulations to you, and hang on tight, because Alvin's gonna talk to you about what he has and how he works with his clients a little bit more, so that you know how to connect with him, so you can continue the conversation. And so I love that you're still tuned in. Good for you. That's taking action right there, right, Alvin?
Awesome.
That's
Totally.
taking
Well done.
action. I love it. And so, who your program, what you do, tell us more, dive in, and everything's in the show notes, by the way. If you want to dive in and obviously connect with Alvin, message him. He's going to share with you his social handlers, so that you can let him know that you watch the show or listen to it. But give us a snippet of who do you work with, and I know at the start of the conversation you shared what you do, but I'd love to dive in a little bit more if you don't mind.
Absolutely. So I work with retail business owners, right? So these are small to medium sized business who have a retail shop online, e-commerce, or bricks and mortar. Because when I was running my pharmacy-based businesses, that's essentially what I was doing. I love retail. I understand the whole aspect of managing teams and buying and selling and creating marketing programs. So I speak that language of retail very, very well. So if you're a retailer, then we need to talk. And so I specialize within that niche of retailing with cash flow and profitability. One of the first things that I got taught by my very first business coach, Casey, Casey taught me the importance of setting up the fundamentals in a business. And I think I come across this all the time. And the same thing happened to me, right? When I got into my first business, I thought it was all marketing and I could just go out and do all these crazy things. But I really didn't have the foundations of my business set up. And I think this is often overlooked. Nobody teaches us how to set up the fundamentals, right? Like where do you learn this stuff? Most of us who run businesses, retail businesses, like we've transitioned from another career, or we don't have any expertise. If we run, for instance, a socks shop or a tie shop or something like that, so nobody teaches this stuff. So when I was looking at when I sold my last pharmacy, I was working with another business coach, and he told me, his name was Glenn. He said he was asking me, Alvin, what are you going to do with yourself? And I was like, I have no idea. So he suggested that I should be a coach, and I was like, no way. I haven't got the skills you've got, and what am I going to coach on? And he gave me some really good advice. He said, remember when you were 27 years old and you got into your first business, what would you have liked, if you could go back in time, what would you have liked to tell yourself so that you could accelerate the curve? So that's exactly what I'm doing now, is showing retailers how they can set up the importance of setting up the fundamentals in their business. So then we can start to do all the fun things of really building on our business. And ultimately, my biggest value is freedom and adventure and travel. So these are the kind of people that I attract. So if that's important to you, and that was very important to me, is how we can set up these businesses based on the fundamentals, so then we can start to fulfill our lives, live with adventure and freedom.
Oh, wonderful. Excellent. So you heard Alvin. If this is you and you're like, I'm intrigued, I want more. This is exactly the vision that I have for myself. Now I know who to call, who to work with to create it. You got it now. And so, Alvin, tell us, how do we connect with you now? I know all this information is in the show notes, but tell us so we can, after this episode, go on our mobile phone and connect with you
Yep.
right away.
Absolutely. So you can go to my website, alvinnarseycoaching.com. But if that's really, you can find me on LinkedIn, Alvin Narsey, find me on Facebook, or you can just plug me into Google and all of my digital assets. You'll see all my trainings, everything comes up. So just remember my name, Google me, easy.
I love Google. I love what you said, because listen, not everybody's on social. And listen, as much I'm a content strategist, I love social media. That's what's built my business. And I'm honest with myself. People leave Facebook every single day. It's
Mm-hmm.
the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm glad that you shared with the audience. Google Alvin. Okay. Click, click, click. He will show up on that first page. Wonderful. Well, let me tell you, I am so excited that you came on the show, Alvin. And I'm excited for you listening and watching that you made it till the end, because this is exciting for us, honestly. As I said at the top of the conversation, Alvin and I did not wake up like this yesterday, which means you are in a journey process. And today you got a chance to connect with someone that's potentially, and I know for a fact, if this is for you, going to help you. And so don't hesitate to listen to that gut that's telling you, Alvin, okay, Google, okay, I'm going to go do it. Take action, okay? And so, Alvin, thank you, thank you, thank you for coming on. I wish you all the best. I look forward to staying connecting with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, Martine. That was really good fun. Awesome.
Excellent. And for you listening and watching, I'll see you in the next episode. I can't wait to be in your earbuds and for you to see me. All right. Take care. Go ahead and create. Keep visualizing. Keep creating, because it's a journey. It's an ongoing process. It never ends. You are doing just fine. Keep at it. Take care. Bye bye. You have just listened or watched the Visualize and Create show. Don't forget to download our app and make sure to leave us a review. And before I go, I do want you to visit my website, martinecadet.com. Browse around. There's a lot of stuff in there. I have a store. I also have great services available for you so that you can visualize and create anything that you want. I will see you in the next episode.